happy Wednesday.
Hi.
Hi, friend. How are you?
I'm good, thank you.
Good. I think we may have some new followers in our group.
Right.
Welcome. We're so happy that you're here. We hope we can just answer all of your questions and provide you with answers and value and just bring you what you need.
Be sure to ask.
Ask questions. We like questions.
Ask us.
So I'm Kat Ledwig. I'm a dietitian.
I'm Stephanie Pepper, and I'm a speech-language pathologist.
I caught her while she was technologying.
I had my my thinking brain on. Sorry,
I totally caught you off guard.
Yes, you did.
So we here at DysphagiaDuo are talking on our lives about things that pertain to you and your life. So we typically do a lot of puree. We talk a lot about what swallowing disorders are, and tonight we're going to change gears just a little bit, and we're going to talk about soft foods. And we have, I think, more information to cover than I expected us to. So I wanted to get started by saying, as a dietitian, we view soft foods in different ways. So there is the soft diet that is for digestive disorders.
Okay.
So typically that would be foods that are low in fiber. They are soft, like potatoes are soft, right? Veggies that are soft and mashable. Veggies that are low in fiber. Because those digestive issues, we want to make sure the gut is being well nurtured. And if your gut can't handle high fiber, we don't want you to put it in there. Things like diverticulosis.
Right. So as your gut is healing, you don't want things that are gonna
make it work too hard. Yep. So then we have like dental soft.
Yep.
If you have missing or broken teeth, if you have pain in your mouth because of maybe an infection, dentures not fitting.
Mm-hmm.
What else does that make you think of? Like,
well, when I hear dental soft, I think of anything related to teeth. A broken tooth. Surgery, oral surgery.
Yep.
Anything that's related to dentition.
So this doesn't necessarily mean you have trouble swallowing. We would just put you on a diet that's soft and easy to chew so that your teeth don't have to work as hard or you don't have as much pain.
Well, and I think part of the overuse of that diet level is because some organizations don't have something special, so they use the dental soft diet for dysphagia issues.
Right.
But the term dental soft, really what's in a dental soft diet is not necessarily exactly what is needed for a dysphagia diet.
Yeah.
So that's why we have 7 levels in a dysphagia diet.
Yep.
And dental soft is dental soft.
So I see there are a few people on. Please say hello in the comments. Tell us where you're watching from. And like we said before, don't be afraid to ask questions. We love to answer questions. So let's talk about the dysphagia diet because there are some discrepancies. I work in a couple of nursing homes right now, and they have different levels. So the National Dysphagia Diet was developed, I think, in 2001 by the Hi Kara.
Hi, Kara.
And the NDD 2001 by dietitians. There was a speech therapist that sat on the board to develop the National Dysphagia Diet. I say this. Hi, Brittany and Mom. Very nice to see you. And Karen from Florida. Fabulous. We're happy you're all here. So the National Dysphagia Diet has 4 levels. There's pureed, there's mechanical soft, there's advanced, and then there's regular. So a lot of companies still use the National Dysphagia Diet. And it's pretty standard, but in a nursing home, it's not always great. Hi, Karen from Georgia. We're happy to see you.
Hi, Karen. Excuse me while I stop.
The puppy's drinking loudly. He just wants attention too. So let's move on to the most recent version of the dysphagia diet, which is the IDDSI framework. So it's the International Dysphagia Diet Standardization Initiative. So this was, it started in 2018, I think is when they developed it. And as you can see, there are 7 levels, but there are overlaps between the liquids and the solids. So liquids are levels 3 and 4 that overlap with solids. And this can be really confusing for a lot of people. So
just FYI too, we have this pinned on our page, on our support group, and on our page.
It's not on our page yet. I will do that tonight.
Oh, I thought it was on the page.
Nah, it might be there, but it's probably way down.
Okay.
So
it may not be pinned.
I'll repost it and pin it so you can all find it if you want to see it. So we're gonna make and talk about some real life foods here that are soft, and we're gonna talk about, mostly Stephanie's gonna give us some insight into what this means and why. We know a couple of you have been told you're a level 3 or you're a level 4, and why that might not be 100% accurate all the time. Right. So we have first soft, we have minced and moist, level 5, and then soft and bite-sized. And then regular also includes some of those easy to chew foods. So I'm going to start with some pot roast that my husband made. And
because he's up and cooking again.
I'm so excited.
He's doing so well, everyone. Thank you for supporting us through the month of May.
Amen. Yeah, he's doing really, really well. He's cooking again. So I know he's on the mend because he's happy to cook. So I have a little bit of pot roast here. And then I have some potatoes as well. And as you can see, these potatoes are falling apart soft. So this was a little bit of jus left over. And yeah, I'm just going to plop this potato on here. There is a skin on here. So I want to talk about this a little bit too, because it might be okay for some and not okay for others. Okay, so this pot roast shreds really, really easy. Okay, it just comes apart. Really soft. This is what I would call soft.
Now, for some of you though, pot roast might not be smooth enough. So there is a difference between soft and smooth.
Correct. A big difference.
A big difference. So many people can't handle texture. If you can't handle texture, then we're not talking about that tonight.
Yeah.
This is soft, easy to chew. So she shredded it, and now she's chopping it really small. And technically, when it's chopped that small, you don't have to chew it all, really.
You shouldn't
and there is,
technically have to.
Can you give me the...
Yes. Oh, I got it.
So there is a difference. So there's a minced and moist. So she's making it to the minced and moist level, which is level 5.
Yep.
Okay.
And Stephanie has talked about this in the past, how if you can get it through the tines of a fork, that's the size.
That's minced and moist.
Yes.
So,
okay. I know it smells delicious.
So now
you can't have any.
The level above that is soft and bite-sized. So I think the definition of soft and bite-sized would be one centimeter by 1 centimeter.
I believe so. Yeah.
So that could be chopped
a little bigger.
A little bit bigger, so that a little bit of chewing would need to happen.
Hopefully he'll watch. So that's closer to soft and bite size. I just ran a knife across it once.
But it's also kind of falling apart because it's cooked so well and so long, I bet.
Yep. It was,
or in a pressure cooker.
We started it in a pressure cooker because I love my pressure cooker. Yeah. I can't live without it at this point. And then you don't have to cook it as long. So I do leave it on slow cook for like an hour or 2 afterwards, just so that it can continue to soften. Yep. So this would be closer to soft and bite-sized, okay?
Again, still has texture. So if you have issues with texture,
so this is bigger,
we would need to throw that into a blender with the jus.
So this potato skin, if you can't handle the skin, you just peel it off, because theoretically it should be soft enough that it should just peel right off.
And now, again, if you can push it through the fork,
So
which very easily, most potatoes you can.
Yep. So you can consider this mashed. It's a mashed potato for sure. So
But
then
it has texture.
Yep. So then I would take some of the jus left over and just add a little more moisture to that.
So that's minced and moist. Very easy, very soft.
Yep.
Yeah. So I won't go
No,
anymore.
no, that's so. If you need to puree this, because sometimes meats don't puree well, right? So I would chop this first because you have a lot more control over some of those pieces. So you would chop this, and then we'd put it in your blender with extra liquid. And this pot roast did have some fat in it.
Which is
and so
needed.
If there's not any fat in there, I would add a little bit of olive oil or butter or something so it will help it puree.
It will help it smooth out.
Smoother, yes. And you can even throw a piece of celery. We ate all the carrots. We like carrots in our pot roast, so they're all gone.
Fair enough.
But carrots are another good soft food. I brought some. You can just put them on the stove in some water, boil them till they're soft, and those will get nice and minced and moist also. You should be able to mash them with a fork as well. So what other foods do we have here?
So I have something left over that is not necessarily soft.
I love it. Let's do it.
But we're going to try to get it to a point where it's at the minced and moist level.
Yep.
Because many people will throw pork chops on the grill in the summertime.
Yep.
And here we are in summer, and we're both wearing sweaters.
It was chilly today.
It's chilly today.
I could not get warm for some reason, so yes. Okay, so there is a bone in here, right? So we're going to just make sure that I don't cut through the bone. And we're just going to take just a chunk out of the middle here. Now, a serving is the size of a deck of cards, right? So this is thicker than a deck of cards. So I'm just going to take a little bit more out. And remember, if we get a little bit of gravy or sauce or something here, we should be able to get this to minced and moist.
We should. We could. So you can get powdered gravy mix and make a gravy. You could make some kind of sauce. You can use ketchup. You can make some kind of sauce with mayonnaise, and
you can use dressing.
You can use dressing, absolutely.
Like America sauce, like we use here in the Midwest.
America sauce meaning ranch.
Ranch. I'd never heard that until I moved to Indiana, let me tell you.
I've never seen ranch eaten on so many things until I moved here too.
I know, it's so funny. Because, in the Pacific Northwest, people kind of turn their noses up. It's so funny. So here I just have this diced. This would be close to a soft
and
bite size.
Yeah, that's smaller than soft and bite size, so you should be fine.
It has a lot of texture though. Okay.
But it's a pork chop. Pork chops are the other white meat, so it's going to be a little bit dry.
Yep.
That's why I say some kind of sauce is going to help, whether it be something pre-made and just pulled out of the fridge and squirted on your plate.
Yep. So I just...
Or something you make.
Cut that relatively thin. I'm just going to slice the rest of it here. And here's the other thing. I brought a little machine to kind of cheat.
And show you how to cheat.
I have this little chopper here.
Which is kind of cool.
I got it at
do part of it.
TJ Maxx.
Okay.
For like $10. So it does have a blade that comes out. It is dishwasher safe. So I am going to just cut this into a few smaller, those ones I just sliced. So bigger pieces. We're going to throw it in here and we're going to see what happens.
See what happens.
And we may want to add a little bit of sauce to this. We'll find out here in a minute.
I have some America sauce. It's a yogurt America sauce.
So a little bit healthier. Perfect.
I have another yogurt sauce that's cilantro avocado.
I love that one.
So we can do that.
All right, here we go. Ready? Oh, and this little charger is a USB rechargeable or chopper. This chopper is USB rechargeable. Sometimes words are hard.
How'd that go? Wow.
Pretty darn good.
It's just as good as
My knife.
As your knife and less time.
Without as much work.
Right.
Yeah. So if we were to put this on a plate and add a little bit of sauce to it, and this, honestly, this machine is going to break up some of those fibers a little bit more.
It kind of pulls at them too because of the... So a couple of other options that I thought of is some mustard would moisten it.
Classic.
An ode to my heritage, Louisiana hot sauce. If you like spicy things, you could put some hot sauce on it. That would add some moisture. Plus, when you add hot sauce, if you have sensory issues, sometimes hot sauce is good because it helps the sensory mechanism to recognize that something's there. It's also going to make you salivate because of the spiciness.
Yep.
So that hot sauce is actually something that I do recommend to some of my clients who have sensory swallowing issues and they need to be able to feel what's in their mouth.
Yeah, that's huge. It's
I have ketchup too, but I didn't pull that out.
To each his own. You use
so
what you want.
Somebody choose
a sauce
which
for us.
sauce you want us to try with it.
We want this to be interactive.
And technically, I guess we could even do it in the chopper with the sauce if we wanted, if they wanted to.
Barbecue sauce is typically my go-to.
Oh, I have that too.
But no, it's okay. We'll let them. We got 7 people on that I can see here. I can't see who you are, but so let's also talk about sides for this. So you could do macaroni. If you overcook some macaroni, you can add a little bit of sauce to the macaroni as well, and it should press it through a fork and you can get it pretty darn soft or pretty darn small so that it's on that minced and moist. You want the extra moisture, of course. You could do something like this packet of quick risotto. It says add your liquid, bring it to a boil for 10 minutes. If you want it to be overcooked, add a little extra liquid and boil it for a little longer. And then it'll be even softer because some people are scared of rice because of those really small pieces. Now, if you need something with no texture, rice is not for you.
No, and depending on what kind of dysphagia you have, rice can be very scary. So rice is something that does not, unless it has a sauce, and that packet does have a sauce.
Yep.
There's always rice on a dental soft diet because it's not hard to chew. So
Right.
keep that in mind. If your dysphagia, if your places where you work or live use use dental soft as their dysphagia diet level, there will be rice. Be careful because
Right.
it's about being able to maintain it all together. Rice is crumbly and doesn't necessarily hold together.
It can get away from you.
Yes, I've never seen that.
So this is called right rice. It's gluten-free. It's not made of rice. It's made of lentil flour, chickpea flour, pea fiber, rice flour, sunflower oil, dehydrated garlic, onion, a little bit of sugar, some other seasonings. So high in protein. So a third of a cup dry has 10 grams of protein and 5 grams of fiber. So they do offer different flavors of this. I found like a Parmesan risotto version and I made it one time and it got really soft.
Okay.
So this is one of those things that you could overcook as well and it would get really, really soft because it's not made of rice. So you should be able to mash it so it
Would fall apart.
would fall apart.
So it's not truly a grain. It's just made to look like a
It's
grain.
processed. This is a processed food, one of the ones that I actually prefer.
Okay.
So anyway, that's worth a shot. They're not choosing. Let's do ranch. Come on.
I pulled out just a couple more just to give
you
some
know what?
ideas.
Let's do
A1
that. Let's do that.
A1 sauce,
Yeah.
steak sauce.
Yeah.
And I had some barbecue sauce as well. Carolina barbecue sauce. You want to do A1?
Yeah.
Do you like A1?
I do.
Okay.
I like just about everything, though. I'm
Actually, you know what? Let's do
half.
yeah,
Okay.
thirds.
Thirds. Ooh. I like your style, sister.
We're gonna do that on that side. We're gonna do ranch down the middle.
So let's talk a little bit more about skill level. And so some of you may have been told you should only eat level 5. But what if they can chew well, they have no dental problems, and they can handle a little bit? So tell me more why your skill level and having a speech therapist that understands the concept of your skill is better than just putting you into a category and saying, this is what you're safe with, good luck.
Yeah. So one of the things that so this is great. This has been a great initiative, and I like it a lot.
Same.
I think it's great.
But half my facilities don't use it.
Right.
And half of them do, or are starting to and are still confused.
It helps to break it down so that we can teach and train people better. But each and every one of you out there may not fall into one specific category.
Yeah.
You may be a level 4 to 5. Some things in 5 you can eat, and some things you can't, so you'd have to bring it down to a 4.
Okay.
Or the opposite. You could be level 6 for some things and level 5 for other things. Right. So it's very important, and I find it very vital to train people to understand what they're able to tolerate.
Yeah.
And not just say, you're level 5, good luck, make sure you follow those guidelines, because you might be a little different. You might be able to tolerate some of the 6s. Or cook it a little bit differently.
Right.
So that you can tolerate it.
Hot roast as opposed to grilled steak or grilled pork chop.
Correct.
So you may be able to tolerate this piece of meat just by chewing it, because it's already, those fibers are already broken down. It's really soft. You may be able to tolerate this whole thing, whereas with the pork chop, you may need to cut it like this.
And if it's about the
salivating. I'm hungry, I guess.
Mix it up a little bit.
All right.
If it's about the chewing, then you're going to want to stay away from the pork chop and eat the softer, easier to chew. But for some people, it's not about the chewing.
Right.
For most people on this that are prescribed this level diet, any of these level diets, it's not always about, it's probably rarely about the chewing.
Right.
But it's more about how the mouth is able to manage those solids while you're working on initiating a swallow or preparing it for a swallow, and what happens to it after you swallow.
So we usually say, have your drink with you, right?
Which one did you try?
The ranch.
You tried the ranch first?
I did. I was curious about the yogurt ranch.
This is the best yogurt ranch I've ever found.
It does still require some chewing.
It's soft though.
But it is soft. It definitely needs a little bit of sauce on it, I think. Then again, I just like sauce on my meats. And then take a drink after your bite if you need to, right? So if your issue is more with texture and you're just having trouble differentiating between what is okay, what is not okay, this is when Stephanie says,
can you breathe?
Can you breathe? We have a lot of clients that go, I can hear Stephanie's voice in my head saying, can you breathe?
Can you take a drink of water or a drink of something? Does it go down?
Yep.
Now, it may, if you feel like something has gotten stuck, and that's another reason chunky things may be difficult, because of the strength of the musculature that has to squeeze things out. Easier to squeeze things out if they're not chunky. Again, so it's really about what your particular swallowing deficit is. So everybody has swallowing strengths, everybody has swallowing deficits.
Everybody.
It depends on where you fall.
So Karen, yes, the muscles in the esophagus. So this is different for you because your swallowing is because of your esophagus. Not everyone's is. A lot of people have trouble at the pharyngeal level or in the oral level. So,
and Karen has had troubles at the pharyngeal level, but mostly because of
that,
the recurrence, the amount of time spent trying to get things through that esophagus.
So, and this is another reason we tell a lot of people, eat your protein stuff at the beginning of your meal, because this is going to be a little more difficult. And we want you to get the high nutrient, high protein foods in first. And then, towards the end,
eat the easy stuff.
Eat the easy stuff. I don't even technically have to chew the potato. I can just smush it with my tongue. Now, if you can't use your tongue that well, that requires your speech therapist to do some work with you to look at what's going on to try to adjust and teach you some things. So,
and chewing is about also the tongue being able to keep moving that food back between the teeth. So we don't think about how much work the tongue is doing while it's chewing. So once you bite down, there's nothing between your teeth anymore because it has squeezed it out,
and the tongue is responsible, and the cheeks are responsible for making sure
keeping it in.
It comes back in. So I have TMJ. I have trouble chewing things that are tough. So like this pork chop, like this, is great because this doesn't cause me to have to chew and chew and chew and chew and then get tired, and then I'm too tired to eat the rest of my food.
And I think sometimes with TMJ too, if it's not small like this, it requires you to open your jaw farther to get it between your teeth to chew. So that's where it makes it malaligned. If you open too wide before you chew, then you bite down with a malaligned.
And that jaw is the only mechanism in your body that is attached to two joints at the same time. Every other joint in your body only has one connection. Your jaw has two. So it has to align on both at the same time. And if that gets out, like she was saying, that can cause some issues. At some point, can you address the use of the chart for liquids? Karen, we can, but that's going to be another day because we're going to focus on our soft foods today. But yes,
absolutely.
Maybe we'll do liquids next week because we hadn't pinpointed that. So let's move on to some of the softer foods.
The softer soft foods.
The softer soft
foods.
Foods.
That brings us, so we were talking about there's scales within the scales. So we've been talking about the soft and bite-sized as well as minced and moist, but inside of each of those levels, there's levels of difficulty. So
I have a packet of oatmeal.
Oh.
This would not necessarily be considered pureed, but it's not exactly minced and moist either. It may be pureed to some people.
And how long it's cooked and how mushy it is.
How much liquid is added.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that would fall, between a minced and moist and a pureed, really.
Yeah.
Good call. So that's what we're trying to express here is that things don't fall that easily into this, as well as your swallowing difficulties don't fall perfectly into this chart.
We cannot be put into categories. As human beings, we are complex, and we cannot just be put in a box and said, okay, there you go. It doesn't work that way. So let's
but we do love this. Don't think that we're trying to disregard it. We think it's great. It's good to identify where you are. That's how you know you've improved too. You have to put yourself somewhere within it. I just think it's hard to define specific for everything.
So Okay, so pork chop, I think that was a good experiment. So now we have a couple other things. This is fun.
Yeah, so hot dogs, another thing, and actually we grilled hot dogs and pork chops at the same time, and that's what he's waiting on. I'm not joking. He must know it's out.
Yeah.
So let's talk a little bit about the hot dog first.
Yep. I'm gonna grab another fork too.
Good.
We might need it.
There you go, chef.
Okay, so some hot dogs have casings. Karen, I agree with you. And when you puree oatmeal, it gets like sticky and weird. So if you go with a quick cooking instant oatmeal, it's gonna have less texture than like your traditional uncooked oats.
Also, please, I'm Karen, I'm so glad you said that. So I'm so glad that you said that, because please keep in mind that pureed does not mean no texture.
Right.
There are a lot of pureed things that have texture. Applesauce has texture. That is considered a pureed.
Yep.
So there is a difference. They have liquidized or pureed. So I'm sorry, I'm just realizing that there's a glare. So liquidized would be no texture. Pureed actually may have texture. So that's where a big part of the people that we're working with are fighting through, is the ability to transition between the liquidized and the pureed.
Yep.
Because pureed technically does not mean no texture.
Right. Okay, so I just cut up this hot dog into small pieces. So hot dogs may have casings or skins on them.
Yep.
I recommend avoiding those. I recommend avoiding it for anyone who has chewing difficulty, like myself. I don't like casings. I can't chew through them. It's a pain in the butt. Then I end up spitting them out. And, if you're with a group of people and you're spitting stuff out, it's just not great. I don't enjoy it. Or you can get a hot dog like this that doesn't have a casing. So you could even, if you can tolerate bread, some people can't. Bread is soft.
Bread is soft.
But it's not always safe.
Bread is probably one of the hardest things that people with dysphagia
struggle with.
Yes.
I have a patient at one of the nursing homes I'm at that is on a mechanical soft diet, but it says no bread due to choking hazard because he struggles with bread.
Right. So back in the day when I worked at a facility, at a rehab facility, IDDSI was not available yet, and we had we used the mechanical soft, and anyone on mechanical soft, unless it was specified, we'd say mechanical soft did not include bread.
Right.
Unless it was specified that they could handle it. So most people on a mechanical soft needed no bread.
Right. I mean, it makes sense to me because it expands and it gets gummy.
It gets gummy.
And gummy is sometimes hard to maneuver and can get stuck.
And if you are, if it gets stuck, depending on where it would get stuck, but if you're at risk for aspiration, it going down the wrong tube, gummy, sticky bread
so dangerous.
is the worst thing to aspirate because it can completely obstruct the airway.
Right.
So that's why bread is a scary proposition.
So if you can handle bread, it may be okay to chop up your hot dog so that it's small and bite-sized or soft and bite-sized, and do that on some bread. If that's okay, you need to talk to your speech therapist or your dietitian that understands this concept. Not all of us do. This is the other thing to remember. I had a lady this week, I explained to her about mixed consistencies, which we're going to talk about here in a minute. And she's like, my speech therapist didn't understand any of that and told me I didn't know. And I was like, I told Stephanie, and she's like, well, that's disappointing. But not all speech therapists handle dysphagia either. Not all of them. Some of them just handle voice and speech and language.
They learned it in school.
Who knew?
They learned swallowing in school.
Yeah, because it's the same muscles that you do both with.
Some of the same muscles, yes.
So, okay. So we have a hot dog here. You can do this and then add your toppings. Stick it in your fancy dish here. Add some relish and some mustard and some ketchup, and you can have your
hot dog and eat it too.
Your hot dog and eat it too. And now it's also not a choking hazard because those pieces are much, much smaller.
And I'd like to show you this too. So remember we talked about if it can go through the tines of a fork? Mm-hmm. Watch this. It can go through the tines of a fork.
Yep. Beautiful. That's fun.
Yeah, so you could put it on a plate instead of a bowl and just mash it also if you...
And add your, maybe not relish if you can't handle that, because relish
again, more texture.
Is more texture. Yep. It's maybe soft enough for some and not for others.
Yep.
So, all right, and then we have eggs. So they may be too far back on our cutting board for our camera to see. So I love eggs. Eggs are soft. If you have a fried egg and it's cooked real low and slow, it's not going to get the crunchy stuff on it. It's going to stay nice and soft. Scrambled eggs, cooked low and slow with a little bit of oil. You can add a little bit of water. You can add a little bit of milk when you're whipping them. Totally up to you. Milk adds more protein. Water makes them fluffier. Eggs are nice and soft.
They are.
You can add extra sauce to them. You can add a little bit of mayo. You can add a little bit of hot sauce. You can add a little bit of barbecue sauce. Whatever.
You can add whatever you want.
Totally up to you. You can add hollandaise, which is egg and butter.
Right.
It's one of my favorites. Not good for me, but delicious. So hard-boiled is really wonderful because this is easy to mash, easy to cut. You can make egg salad out of it, which we have done before and pureed, and it purees beautifully.
I'm sure the chef in you is dying as I hold this knife.
I'm okay. I'm not dying.
Hold it right, Stephanie.
You're holding it right. You're good.
Well, I didn't start that way.
That's all right.
I caught myself because...
I wasn't watching at that point, I guess.
Okay, so...
All right.
Eggs.
He thinks it smells amazing.
Because they smell like eggs.
It's a fragrant egg.
It was laid yesterday.
It's a fresh
It was laid
egg.
yesterday.
Look at that.
So it's mashable. Yep. Now, in this, I had a friend, and I had never seen anyone do this, but to make egg salad, she mashed them all with a fork instead of cutting them.
Sounds like I thought, work.
It does. It was a lot of work. But you know what? I don't know if someone in her family maybe had dysphagia, and over the years, that's just how their family made egg salad. But they added mayo and relish and but lots of work. But
so you could also add it to your handy dandy little food processor. You could just add the egg in there whole and let the little machine do it for you.
Now we have also pureed egg salad before.
I think we did it recently too, right?
And it was very good, very smooth.
You could add ranch to this and just make egg salad out of egg and ranch. It's totally up to you. There's no judgment here. No judgment.
It's what you like.
Yeah. So soft is what you can tolerate. Texture-wise, I encourage you to be aware of what you're feeling and not judge it. For some people, you may not be able to have to upgrade your diet. A lot of our clients can, a lot of them can't. Okay? So if you feel a texture and it doesn't feel right, it could be that your brain is not used to it, and you have to be aware and be curious of what you're feeling. We want you to not judge it. Don't say, "Oh, this is bad. This is terrible. This is not good." Hear Stephanie's voice saying, "Can you breathe? Can you take a sip of liquid and wash it down?" If you can, that's okay. And maybe your brain just needs to reevaluate what normal is.
Right. And please keep in mind too, there's so much sensory information that's traveling along with that food that has texture, that you've chewed and that you've swallowed. And if you're just transitioning from a very smooth to something with texture, it's going to, that your sensory system is going to alert your brain to say, hey, something feels different here.
Yeah.
And that's good because it's your brain is recognizing that something is different.
Yep.
But if you don't allow your swallowing mechanism and the whole system, the whole swallow system, to get used to that sensory feeling,
you have to do it repeatedly.
then you'll never progress.
Right.
So it's going to alert you at first.
Right.
Something's wrong, something's different.
And
it doesn't mean it's wrong.
And it may stick around for a while. And it may be uncomfortable for a while.
But that's why I say, can you breathe? Can you drink something? Then you're okay.
Yeah. So we covered breakfast, lunch, and dinner, I feel like. We covered a lot of different things. We talked about vegetables. We talked about meat. We didn't talk about fruit, but fruit is sort of the same. So like banana, already a soft food.
Yep.
Applesauce, considered a soft food.
Yep.
Pie filling, technically considered a soft food.
Yeah, you mash that with a fork because it's super soft.
Yeah. So it's really about you getting creative and thinking through, what can I do with this, or how can I manage this? So I also have a cupcake here because I have a peanut butter cookie because I made these because it was National Peanut Butter Cookie Day this week. These are high protein, high fat peanut butter cookies. So one cookie has 80 calories, 4 grams of protein, 5 grams of fat, and 6 grams of carbs.
You know what? When I make cookies, I don't know that stuff.
Well, I don't normally either, but I made these to find out. So they do have protein powder in them, and they have the protein powder that's a little stronger. So,
I gotcha.
So, but
okay, you added extra.
But here's we're gonna figure out if this is soft in a second too. The frosting may not be because it's coconut pecan, and those pecans are definitely not soft. So we may have to peel that off. Steph's going to get stuff out of the fridge just in case. So here's the thing about this cookie. It's spongy. I had some with my coffee this morning. You could put it in a little dish, add a little bit of coffee over the top of it. It's still soft. I don't technically need to chew it. It is a peanut butter cookie, but it's not sticky. But I do recommend with anything like this that you have liquid on the side. Or put it in a dish and mix liquid into it because...
So put a chunk right here. Let's move these eggs out of the way. Yeah, there we go.
Okay. Okay, so cookie or cupcake?
We can try both.
Okay. So I'm just going to crumble that a little bit.
Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pour a little bit of milk on it. Now, it doesn't have to be cow's milk. It can be coconut milk, oat milk, almond milk, soy milk.
Okay.
And just let it sit for a little bit.
Yeah.
Let it absorb. Again, I may have put a little too much, so if you have a mixed consistency issue, definitely eat it with a fork so that the liquid falls out.
This is a great time to talk about mixed consistencies.
Great.
So I had a question, or I answered a question on Facebook the other day, and it was in a different group. And I said, send me a direct message. And someone else said, why can't you just answer the question? And Stephanie kindly responded, it sounds like it's this, but she probably needs some more information. And I said, yes, I don't have enough information to give you a good response. And I do not like to be quick, short answers that are not actually helpful. So the lady sent me a message. I sent her back a voice message, and she said, oh my gosh, that makes so much sense. Nobody's been able to explain that to me. And it was about mixed consistencies. So it would be like cereal, like Cheerios and milk, or soup, like broccoli cheddar soup that has whole broccoli in it.
Right. Or chicken noodle soup or
Chili,
or any kind of soup, even just a vegetable soup. Anything that has a solid and a liquid in it at the same time is
like this.
Yes, this mashed up cookie. I would need more cookie to make it.
I got a little bit more, but it's not going to
But
be
again,
enough.
also, if I would rather it soak up more milk, like take the time to soak up more milk, and then you eat it. If you can't handle mixed consistencies, eat it with a fork, because then the liquid falls out.
Yep.
And you're not managing both.
Yep. Yep.
So yes, mixed consistencies is about having both liquids and solids in the same bite. Okay, so what happens is that your mouth then has to, so you're already having difficulties managing solids or liquids. I don't know which one. But when you take a bite of something that has both liquid and solid, you're having to manage the liquid that moves very quickly at the same time that you're managing the solid that doesn't move quickly.
Right.
So for people who have issues with speed of muscles, liquids are going to be a problem.
Right.
For people who have difficulty with strength of muscles, they're going to have difficulty with the solids. So if you have problems with either of those, you may have particular problem handling both at the same time. So that's why people on
it could be any level.
It could be any level. It could be, yes, it could
Other-
be level
other than
7.
than the liquids. Yeah.
You could. Lots of people have difficulties with that,
Yeah.
and sometimes it's just random.
I had difficulties eating a piece of watermelon last week. I was standing outside and I went, and it gushed, and I went, and then I coughed my lungs out for 5 minutes.
So watermelon is particularly hard because it's got so much liquid in it.
So, and
While
we don't
you're
realize
chewing.
that it has so much solid in it also.
Yeah.
There's a lot of fibrous material in there.
Yeah.
I choked on, I mean, I didn't choke, but I...
Again, sometimes it's random.
Yeah.
It can get anybody.
Yeah.
But that's what's going on. So if you have something that has both liquid and solid, and it's rare for it to be something that has like a heavy sauce in it.
Right.
Usually a heavy sauce is helpful in managing pulling stuff together.
I'm thinking like Alfredo sauce would be really helpful because it's pretty cohesive. Yeah. It moves real slow because it's thick.
Yep. Anything that has a thin liquid.
Yeah. So like
oranges are difficult. Even a good juicy apple sometimes can get people off guard.
Yep. So I just held it on the side here, drained a little bit of liquid out it.
Is it good?
You can taste the protein quite a bit. I need to find a different protein that has a better flavor. But Eric ate them and he didn't complain, so.
He needs the protein.
He does need the protein. Yeah.
I can't taste the protein.
No? I went pretty heavy on the peanut butter and I added peanut butter powder.
Yeah. No, it tastes good.
Yeah. So, and then cupcake would be the same thing as this. Okay? So you would just add your milk.
I have to taste it first. Sorry.
Don't apologize.
This looks yummy.
You add your milk and then you just let it sit for a little bit. And honestly, my grandfather used to eat cake this way. He would cut himself a piece of cake, put it in a bowl, and then pour milk over it, and that's how he ate his cake for years.
My grandpa did it with Lorna Doone cookies. Lorna Doone cookies in a cup, in a mug with milk.
People have been doing it with Oreos for how long have Oreos been around?
That's true.
They call it milk's favorite cookie for a reason, right?
I wish I had some Oreos for us to try.
But it's the same concept. You do the same thing. You put it in a bowl, you add your milk,
Let it absorb.
and let it absorb so that it's softer and it has that moisture, so it's easier to manage. It's always easier to manage food when you have a little bit of moisture in your mouth or a lot of moisture in your mouth.
And some people have less moisture in the mouth because of meds that they're taking.
Yep.
Or
After surgery, the local hospital that I round at, I have people that tell me all the time, because my second question is, are you having any trouble chewing or swallowing? And they go, my throat's so dry and scratchy and it hurts. And I'm like, that's probably because one of the meds they give you sometimes during surgery dries you out so that it doesn't go into your airway.
Well, and if they were intubated,
that doesn't help also.
There's a whole lot. There's a whole lot of stuff going on there.
There's a whole lot of stuff. So there could be a lot of reasons. So if anyone has questions, yeah, so I would say this cupcake is soft already. Mm-hmm. If you have moisture, it's maybe okay. If you need moisture, add some milk, add some hot chocolate. Mm-hmm. Have a cup of tea on the side.
Yes.
And have your tea.
Good ideas.
With your cupcake. Okay. We didn't have too many questions tonight.
No.
Thank you, Karen, for asking your questions. We will do liquids next week.
Okay, yeah. Let's do it.
I think it'll be fun to go over some of those things. So anyway, if anyone has any questions, please post them below. Please share our videos.
Yeah. Share
them with someone you think may need some information.
Yeah.
And if you have questions, get a hold of us.
Yeah, send us a message in Messenger or email us at
DysphagiaDuo@gmail.com.
I don't know what happened to my brain just then.
It's okay. And we're accepting new clients.
We did have a couple spaces open up.
Yeah, we had a couple spaces open up. So please get a hold of us. We love you. We're here for you. We want to see you succeed and live happy lives. Kara, yes, you can.
Absolutely.
I was actually going to mention pancakes. Pancakes are soft. If you can handle the bread, you can do the extra moisture.
Syrup and butter. Mm-hmm. If you need more moisture than that, that's not as sticky, a little bit of milk on it.
Yep.
Yes, absolutely.
Yep. It's a great question.
It is a great question.
Yeah.
Thank you.
All right, everybody. We'll see you next week.
Have a good week.